But yes, it's a little bit hard to find. It is on this floor, and it's just sort of on the other side of this wall, basically. So walk around the other way, and you will find us. 3 o'clock tomorrow, more autographs. How you doing? You good? Hello, everyone. My name is Christopher Wehkamp. I'm going to be walking around a little bit. Is that okay? You zooming out? My name is Christopher Wehkamp. I'm a voice actor. I'm an ADR director. This is my third time coming to AnimeFest, and I'm so very glad to be here with you guys. Obviously, 2020 was, 2020 was a year, wasn't it? 2020 was a year. So I'm really glad to be back here in person. Yeah, come on in, guys. Welcome in. This is the first time I've done this panel before. I've done something similar to this. I debuted a panel back in 2019 at A-Kon. Yeah. Woo! And it was called Nap Time with Aizawa. And we went through a PowerPoint slide that was created by actually a fan who just gave it to me. And it was just like a fun series of pictures of Aizawa in different places around the world. And it was funny and it was fun. And I was like, we should totally do that as a panel. So this is kind of like, this is like 2.0, right? So this one sort of combines two things together because we've got where in the world is Aizawa? You're fine. Please don't get in trouble.
Almost lost my radio.
Lost and found. Close one, guys. Yeah, no worries. So this one sort of combines both. So we've got a fun game of Find Aizawa in the picture, but we've also got each picture is going to take you through sort of a stage of my life. Because I've done a lot of these panels where it's like, come talk to voice actor Christopher Wehkamp, and I just go on and on and on about my life, and by the end of it, everybody looks like they've learned about my life, but are also very tired. And so this one, you know, hopefully we'll get to do both. And Patrick warned me this is going to go to sleep on us from time to time. It's just like Aizawa. It's very sleepy. So many of you probably already know I am, in fact, the voice of Aizawa in My Hero Academia. We just finished up season 5, and then we just had the announcement that season 6 is coming next fall. So, yeah, let's go. How many people here saw the movie? Did you see the most recent movie? A lot of people saw the movie. That's awesome. I'm now going to do for you, free at no extra charge, my part in the movie. Are you ready? Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. It was a good movie, but it needed a little more Aizawa. He was in it for basically one scene, and he had no lines. So what are you going to do? But without any further ado, let's jump into this. As soon as I get done with it, like I said, I haven't done this before, so I don't know how long this is really going to take. We've got an hour, but as soon as I get done with it, we can certainly open it up to questions. If you guys want to just chat. I like to interact with people. I don't like, one of my least favorite things in the world, I can't even tell you, are corporate meetings. My day job used to be that I worked for a big technology company. And the worst thing was our 11 o'clock meeting every day, because it was just an excuse for kind of the leadership to just talk at us for like 30, 40 minutes, an hour sometimes. And I dreaded that meeting every day. So I don't want this to be like that meeting. I won't just be talking at you the whole time. We're going to try to do some interactive stuff too. And also, I have this handy dandy laser pointer here, so I can pick my nose from a distance, or I can kind of like point out that my hair looks a little weird here. I can point out that I don't have any facial hair. And when people see this picture and then they see me now, they're like, oh, that's you? I'm like, yeah, that's me. The pandemic came and made a bunch of hair sprout on my face, so could have been worse. All right, let's get going. Where in the world is Aizawa in this picture? So we're starting off easy, you know, starting off slow here. Here's Aizawa walking around a beautiful fountain in Atlanta, Georgia. This is where I was born. I was born just outside of Atlanta in a little town called Marietta, Georgia. Do we have any Georgia folks here? Yes? Marietta? I see you, Marietta. My family moved here when I was 4 years old. My dad accepted a job at a company called Grandy's. Does anybody remember a restaurant chain called Grandy's? They might still be around. Maybe they're still around. I don't know. So my dad worked for like their construction department. He was like one of their managers. And so he accepted the job, and they flew him to Texas. He met all the people. It went really well. He's like, we're moving to Texas. And within a year, the dude who hired him fired him and hired his brother-in-law in that position. So, yeah, right? Nepotism, boo. We don't like that. But it was the thing that made my dad go off on his own, start his own construction company, and then he was a great inspiration to me because he basically started from essentially nothing in a brand new town and just built an entire commercial construction company up on his own. And so as a kid, I got to see what it was like to go off on your own and pursue your own sort of passions. And as we go through this, you'll see why that's important. All right, next one. Yeah. Yeah. Only the sharpest viewers can spot where Aizawa might be. Does anybody see him yet? You saw him? That's right. Folks in the back, you may not be able to see that. What's funny about this to me, and a lot of these slides that we're going to see, is that he looks really small there, but can you imagine if this was actually real, like how big he would actually be? He would be like, probably his head would be touching the ceiling of this room. That's how big he would be. To be hanging from that thing and be that size, he would have to be massive. Has anybody been to the restaurant up at the top of the ball, or at least been to the ball? It's funny how many people who live in Dallas, like I've lived in Dallas my whole life, and it's funny how many people who have lived in Dallas have never been to this place. It's pretty iconic for the Dallas skyline. The first time I went was for my birthday. My grandma took me there. I think I was like 6 or 7 years old, and the waitress came by, and she asked everybody what they wanted to drink, and my grandma said, he's going to have a Shirley Temple. I had never heard of that before. Has anybody had a Shirley Temple? Okay. It's not that exciting, but I remember being 6 or 7 years old and just being like, whoa, I'm drinking like an adult drink right now. And I think that's the appeal of the Shirley Temple, right? Is it feels like you're finally an adult. You're sitting there with the adults having a mixed drink, having a cocktail. I was like, man, my grandma's super hard right now. This is crazy. Am I going to get in trouble for this? Like, it felt really exciting. That was before I noticed that the floor of this place is like constantly rotating. So if you haven't been there yet, the whole thing like rotates while you're sitting there. And then I didn't care about the Shirley Temple anymore at all. Like, I was super fascinated by the floor, and I spent the whole rest of the meal just like staring down at my feet, watching one foot like slowly go this way, because if you put your feet in between the seam, then your legs just are slowly spread apart by this restaurant, and it's fascinating. I don't even remember what I ate. It didn't matter. So from a very young age, though, I was a clown, and I was always trying to, figure out how stuff worked, and was very interested in making people laugh and performing in front of people. That was a big, big factor for me all the way through school. And when I was 16 years old, fast forward to 16 years old, this one's a little trickier. Has anybody spotted him yet? He's right there, if you can't tell. He's not in his normal getup here. He's got sort of the Target red on. He does. They said he's got the same energy as the employees. That's 100% true. The reason why I know that is because, my first job was at Target when I was 16 years old. I had a really great manager, really no bad experiences, except I worked in the electronics department. And I loved it. It was great because I was just playing video games on the N64 that they had there, a lot more than I was actually working, I would say, on a normal day. And I got to talk about video games with people, and I got to talk about technology with people. That was a big theme for me. Video games, technology, performance. These are all things I was super interested in. And comic books. And I noticed that the only place that had a bathroom was basically the public bathroom at the Target, or there was a bathroom in the very back of the warehouse where they kept all the stock, the extra stock. And if you went there on your break, you could lock the door. And it was like the only way to get any privacy in this place while you were working during the day. So that became my new habit. I would just go there for a little bit of peace and quiet. And also I figured out you could bring the comic books from the book section back there and read comic books in the bathroom for 15, 20 minutes on your shift, bring the comic books back and put them on the shelf. But then it got difficult to get them back on the shelf, and I started thinking, am I contaminating these books? I'm not doing any. I'm not even going to the bathroom in this bathroom, but I'm bringing them back to this bathroom. Maybe I shouldn't be putting these back on the shelf. What if I just leave them in the bathroom? But I can't just leave them out in the open in the bathroom. This is my 16-year-old brain, like working all the way through this. What is this compartment over here? And everybody's seen this compartment. You know this compartment. It's in every public bathroom you go into. It's a little access panel, right? The little metal access panel by the sink or by the toilets or whatever. And if you have a screwdriver or a 16-year-old's thumbnail, you can just stick it in the little thing, turn it to the left, it pops right open. Well, guess what I found inside this access panel? Magazines. Somebody else was already doing this. At some point, somebody else had figured out, grab some magazines, hide them in here, stash them, and go read magazines on my break. I'm like, well, this is my comic book safe now. Sorry about your magazines. And I started filling this unconsciously, not really on purpose. Again, 16-year-old brain. I started filling this little compartment with comic books. And then one day, they called all the cashiers to the front, and because it was real busy. And one of my managers, a guy named Dave, I'll never forget Dave's face, as he came walking past the cash registers with a cart filled with comic books. There was probably 150, 200 comic books in this cart, and he was pushing it past the line of registers, and his face was like this as he looked at me. And he knew, and I knew that he knew, and we both knew in that moment. But he never said anything to me, and I never said anything to him. And the next week that I came into Target, I didn't work in electronics anymore. They had moved me to a section that I don't know what the proper word for it now to call it is, but feminine products? Yes. And I had a new manager working in the feminine product aisle, and as a 16-year-old boy, this was very mortifying. I didn't know anything about this aisle. I just tried to avoid it at all costs. I knew that there were mysterious things that happened on this aisle. That's all I really knew. But my tenure at Target was not long after that, because I think it got around to the other managers that I was perhaps spending a little too much time reading comic books and not enough time working on the floor. So that was my first job, and that was the end of my first job. I can honestly say with some certainty that I probably got run out of a job for reading comic books, which is kind of cool, sort of later, but in the moment is not cool at all. So after that, I graduated from high school, where I did a lot of theater. I went to the Texas UIL one-act plays. Anybody involved in UIL? Is that even still a thing in Texas anymore? Okay, cool. We went to Region. I was the lead in a play called Tartuffe, and that was so much fun. And I still love those memories so much. And upon arriving to go to college at the University of North Texas in Denton, I started off as a theater major, and quickly realized that they wanted me to do things that not only did I not necessarily want to do, I was also very bad at. They wanted me to sew costumes, and they wanted me to put on stage makeup, and they wanted me to build sets. And I was not good at any of it. And so being a person who really just wanted to act, I got really interested in voiceover. So I switched my major to media arts, which at the time was called radio, television, film. It's a really long name. Anyway, here's me, or here's my surrogate, I suppose, trying to decide, do I want to be a theater major or do I want to do radio, television, film? And so I switched my major. By the way, any UNT folks in here? Yes. What are you majoring in? Accounting? Okay, that's very different than everything I did at UNT. However, thank you so much. We need you very badly. Me and the rest of the artists, we need you really, really badly. Who else is at UNT? Yeah. So this is you. That's you right there. You're going to switch over to RTBF. Nice. The media arts department is awesome. So I think you'll really enjoy it. Who else? Any other? Yes. You almost went to UNT? So you're pictured off the screen here. You're off on that side or that side? Yeah. Nice. Good. It's fabulous. I mean, even the best actors in the world today are online in some capacity, right? So being online, knowing about social media, all these things were fascinating to me. I really loved tech. I was very into tech, really very into video games, very into performance. It felt like media arts was like kind of a perfect marriage of all of those things. And to a large degree it was. So UNT was good for me. This is less about finding Aizawa and more just a fun picture, I think. So here he is, coming in hot. I like that. So I all through college, I worked at Pizza Hut. I was a delivery driver. I worked there for almost 4 years, 3.5 years. And I still say to this day, even as a professional voice actor, even as a professional director, it is still one of the best jobs I've ever had. Do we have any pizza delivery drivers here, or delivery drivers in general? Part-time DoorDash, excellent. Yep. Amazon, DoorDash, excellent. I think it's a different world now than the world when I was delivering pizza. But let me tell you, it was so magical. I would go into work, sometime like, I don't know, 5 o'clock, 4 or 5 o'clock, something like that. Work till about 9 or 10. And prior to that, me and my housemates would watch a show that we just discovered one day. We had never seen this channel before. And then one day we saw a promo for it. We're like, what is this promo? This looks insane. And it was a promo for a show called Cowboy Bebop. And it was running on Adult Swim. There was another show called Inuyasha. There was another show, yes. There was another show called The Big O. There was another show that we were blown away. Gundam Wing, we had never seen these shows before, really. And so before going on our shift at Pizza Hut, me and my two housemates would watch these. We watched a show called Dragon Ball Z, which we would be like, the fight between these two characters, this is the most intense thing I've ever seen, and it's taken 8 weeks, and they still have not punched each other. Like, how long does just this fight take? This is insane. Yeah, so we got introduced to things like filler episodes. But yeah, Cowboy Bebop spoke to me in a powerful way. I had never seen a show quite like it. And I felt like the performances were so good. Like, I was like blown away at these English language performances that I was seeing. And it just stuck in the back of my head. And I didn't know that I wanted to work in anime. I didn't know I wanted to do dubbing at all at that phase in my life. It was just something that spoke to me. Like, it really stayed in my head, you know? So I would encourage you on your own journey, if you come across things that interest you or that really speak to you and you don't know why and you don't know what it means, it doesn't matter. Just remember it. However that is, like, write it down, you know, or if you're more a person who is visual, you know, collect the artwork from it. And you don't have to know where it's going or what it could mean. In my case, I just really loved watching this show, and then, you know, 15 years later, here I am, voice acting in anime for the very company that owns the license to that show and did a lot of work with that show. So you never know where this thing is going, is what I'm saying. But you should definitely pay attention when you feel that. Here's the thing that happens a lot with parents. I'm a parent. I've got 3 kids, 3 boys. They're all under the age of 12. And I see them get interested in things sometimes, and and they get so interested that they want to be like, I want all that stuff for Christmas. Like, for example, my son, for a brief weekend, really got into rock tumbling. Does anybody know what rock tumbling is? you take a rock and then you put it in this machine and it goes through it and then it becomes smooth. And it's pretty interesting. But he got so into it for one weekend that he was like, no, that's all I want for my birthday. I want just like these rocks and a rock tumbler and this other rock tumbler because this one tumbles the rocks differently. I'm like, and I felt myself becoming my father in that moment because I wanted to be like, you don't want this stuff. You're just in a phase. This is stuff. But instead, I said that the rock tumbling thing is really interesting. And I think we should definitely do some rock tumbling. Let's start small with like this rock tumbler maybe for your birthday. And we'll tumble some rocks. You know how many times he's tumbled rocks? Like 4 times total, guys, right? Since then, because whatever interested him about it ran its course. But I want to make sure that when you're interested in things, that you get a chance with it because you just don't know what is going to be important to you in your life down the road. So, long story to explain why it's important to pay attention to that stuff. Yes. So my life took a very strange turn. That I wouldn't, you could have given me a lot of money and told me to explain how this was going to happen in the future, and I may not be able to do it. So I graduated from college, and I went right to work doing not what I thought I was going to be doing. I thought I was going to be working in radio, television, film. Instead, I got right out of school, and I got offered what at the time seemed to me to be like insanely stupid amounts of money to go into the IT industry and start solving tech problems. Well, remember, I love performance, I love technology, love video games. So I'm like, well, technology, that's in there. So I was like, I'll just do this for a little while. It doesn't have to be a long-term thing. And, well, it turned into a 10-year career. But before that, I was with my fiance, and we had talked about, maybe having a family someday, getting married, doing all that stuff. And we said, for sure, before we do that, we want to travel. My wife's a teacher. She worked in the public school for 15 years, second grade teacher. And she said, I've got these friends who have worked abroad. Why don't I just put my resume in? You could be a technology teacher at any of these schools based on your credentials, and we'll just go do that for a year before we really settle down and do this stuff. I'm like, awesome, let's do it. There were 2 places interested in us. The first place was some rural school district in China, and the other one was in the capital of Turkey, Ankara. And both places seemed very scary. And we didn't know anything about either one of them, really. And so we started doing our research, but we really only had like a week to decide. And so we said, Turkey is very close to Europe. We want to do some traveling in Europe. We'll get to China some other day, maybe. Let's do Turkey. And we literally packed up our lives and freaking moved to Turkey, guys. So let's see. This one's actually pretty challenging. Well, it's definitely not the people that are wearing white here. They're out. They're right out. Actually, the really tough thing is that you guys are probably just really far from the screen. I'm going to help you out here. This is him right here, right there. You can sort of tell because, it's the black clothes, but then also the gray scarf there. You can kind of see the black hair. You folks in the back are like, I don't see what any of you people are talking about. So I apologize. I apologize to you guys in the back. This is in the capital of Turkey, Ankara. We got to see a lot of Ankara. We worked at a preparatory school there called Bilkent. And I taught a technology class to Turkish elementary school kids. And my wife taught second grade to Turkish elementary school kids. It was amazing. It was a fantastic experience. We got to do a lot of traveling all around Europe, and we got to do it for not a lot of money because we basically just went to any place we could afford. We went to Greece. We went to all over Greece. Santorini was my favorite place in Greece. It's so beautiful. It's funny because people talk about going to like these really nice vacation destinations. The place that we were staying at was, how could I describe it in a nice way? We walked into the first room that they sent us to, and every inch of the walls were covered in mosquitoes. Every inch of the walls. And we called that place, the dude who ran the place was a dude named Nikos. And he was the cheapest place. We only ever stayed at the cheapest place in town, wherever we were. But Nikos' place was the cheapest place in town in Santorini. And we went back to him, and I said, hey, this room is covered in mosquitoes. He said, yes. I was like, well, what can we do to, we got to get rid of these mosquitoes. We can't, sleep in here. He's like, the mosquitoes stay. Okay, so in Santorini, we made an exception. We went and found the second cheapest place. And ironically, the name of the dude that ran that place was Nikos. So we went and talked to new Nikos, and he was a really nice dude. We have a lot of good memories of new Nikos. My wife and I sometimes will just be walking through the house, and I'll be like, thank goodness for new Nikos. Because it was a nice place. We had a wonderful time in Santorini. We went to Italy. We went to Spain. In Italy, we were so broke that I bought a tent from a sporting goods store, and we literally went and found a campground. And the very first day that we set up a tent to sleep in, it rained on us. And and you would think that it'd be awful, but it was so cool. We were both just laying in this tent man, we are idiots. This is the dumbest thing ever, and it's so great. Yeah, we did. No, we did. We slept in a car in a really small village in Italy because we just ran out of money. Italy is crazy expensive, y'all. Anyway, here's your sensei, perched on a rooftop, probably enjoying the view. My favorite thing about Santorini was the view. The view was remarkable. How are we doing on time? Any timekeepers keeping? We're good. I just want to make sure. We got time for questions, so we're rolling through here. So, Spain ended up being one of my very favorite places. I really highly recommend, if you ever get a chance to go to Spain, do it. But I also just highly recommend, just get out of Texas. Doesn't matter really where you go. Don't go to Oklahoma. But no, Oklahoma's great. No shade on Oklahoma at all. I went to Tokyo and Tulsa back in 2019, and it was a fantastic time. The people in Oklahoma are great. Just get out of Texas. And if you can, get out of America. Even if it's just for a little while. It's kind of amazing how when you go to other places and you talk to people as an American, the things that they think about America. And the way that I can sort of explain this to you is, if you're from Texas especially, you know how people who are not from Texas talk to people who are from Texas, right? They think that everybody here has a 10-gallon hat, and we all ride horses to work and school. And they have all kinds of questions about, well, aren't you just walking around in the Target and everybody's just got guns and stuff? It's like, the stuff you see on TV isn't necessarily reality. And the funny thing is, when you go and talk to people from other places besides America, the ideas they have in their heads are, crazy. They sort of look at us like we're crazy. And so it's just good to get the hell out of here. Maybe not forever, but just if you ever get a chance, I promise you it's worth the effort and the money just to get out for a little while. If you can get to Barcelona, Spain, I highly recommend it. This building is called the Sagrada Familia, and it's right nearby a place called Gaudi Park. One of my favorite places in the world, and really looking forward to taking my kids there at some point. And just gorgeous architecture. They really have a slow way of life in Spain that I was not accustomed to. But I love naps, so I was down with that. I was down with just taking naps, whenever. But they don't really eat dinner until 10 p.m., and I was not down with that. Because it'd be about 7 o'clock, and I would just be like, look, I understand you guys are all chilling out till 10 p.m. Where do the gringos eat around here? Because this gringo is going to have to eat about every day at 7 p.m. But, yeah, get to Spain if you can. You don't have to stay in real nice places. We certainly didn't. Rome, I stood outside of this building, which many of you know is the Colosseum, and I was really excited to be there, and yet really disappointed that I couldn't go inside. Because when I was there, they weren't letting anybody inside. Since then, I think it's changed. But it sort of felt like, what's the point of us even being here? You know, like I've seen pictures of the outside of this thing my whole life, and here I am standing outside of it next to 700 other tourists who are holding up their phones, taking pictures of the outside of it. And I'm like, you know, I just want to like find this person next to me who's taking a picture of this thing from the outside and go find their picture like on their Facebook page and then like it. Like as I'm standing right next to them, just like, here's the Coliseum. I'm liking your photo of the Coliseum that you're taking right now. Just a very meta moment. Let's see. Where is he in this one? Bottom left? Right here? Well, there is a dude there. I think that's All Might. I think that's All Might right there. Anybody else got guesses? Top right? Oh, there he is. Yep, there he is. You found him. The sharp-eyed among you will be able to see. Yeah, he's doing something very illegal. You are not allowed to do that. That is incredibly illegal. And I feel like Aizawa, the character of Aizawa is so interesting to me because I love tabletop games. I love Dungeons and Dragons. Yep, I grew up on that stuff. That's really where I started acting, guys, was improvising characters in Dungeons and Dragons games, just coming up with voices. If you're doing that now, let me tell you, it's some good training. And people have asked me before, like, what do you think his class would be? What would Aizawa's class be in that game? Well, my answer is not typically a popular one because I feel like he would be a paladin. And I'm sorry. I apologize to all of you for that because a lot of people want him to be a rogue or they want him to be a warlock or something cool because paladins are not very cool. Paladins are characters that really want to follow the law, whatever that law is. And Aizawa he wants to follow the law so much that when it's time for him to do something like a public event or a media junket, he's like, is this in my contract? No, I'm not doing it. Or if I am doing it, I'm going to barely show up. And when I do show up, I'm not going to say much. That, or he's going to show up, I'll show up in an awesome suit. I'll put my hair back in a ponytail. And I'll read the lines you tell me to read. But as soon as I'm done, I'm done. Because he's in this thing for truth and justice. He wants to right the world's wrongs by being a very lawful, good paladin. And then he wants to pass that along to his kids. That's his other big focus, is making sure that his kids have got the tools that they need to be awesome heroes and survive. These are his biggest motivations. So I look at him like he's not a gray Jedi, He is definitely on the light side of things. He wants to do good. But where there's areas that it's not in his contract, like it's not in his contract to have a really awesome costume. Not that his costume isn't great, but it's not showy, it's not flowery. It's the sort of thing, this is my favorite thing about Izawa Cosplay, is some of the best cosplay I've ever seen is Izawa Cosplay. And some of the most, let's call it, available cosplay that I've ever seen is Izawa Cosplay. If you've never cosplayed before and you've thought about it, go get some black sweats and go get a scarf. You're done. Your Izawa cosplay is now complete. If you'd like to get a black wig, all the better. But it's not required. You don't have to. So I love that it's the best one I think that I ever saw was at Montreal Comic-Con back in 2019. And somebody walked into a room with the scarf had been wired so that it was floating above their shoulders. The hair was straight up. It had been, I really wish I would have gotten a picture of this. So as they walked, the scarf was floating as they were walking through the room. And then they turned and I saw their eyes, and there was some kind of effect that they had done with their eyes where it looked like there was actually red light coming out of their eyes. It must have been contacts, I don't know. I think there was a lighting rig involved in the scarf as well. So like the scarf was like casting light on their eyes. It was way beyond what I thought was possible. Again, let's go back to being a theater major. Nuh-uh, I can't do any of that stuff. So I love seeing all the cosplay. That's one of my favorite things about coming to this stuff because it's just not my gift to be able to do that. So I really enjoy all the cosplayers for that reason specifically. So then, what's next? We were like, all right, we did it. We did it. We saw we saw a bunch of the world like we wanted to. We didn't see all of it. We saw a lot of it. All right, we want to settle down and we want to maybe think about a family. Where should we go? Well, we ended up back in Dallas. We talked about a lot of different places. And ultimately, I thought that my career would be best served by being back in Dallas, and I wanted to be in a good financial situation to start thinking about having kids and stuff, trying to be a good dad even before I was a dad, you know, trying to do the responsible thing. So we came back to Dallas, and I went back to work. Here's our buddy Aizawa, by the way, if you haven't seen him yet. It might be hard to see him if you're in the back. I don't know, but there he is doing his part on the bridge. I came back, I went to work straight away because IT is this, a lot of you are probably in IT. Any IT folks in here? The anime and IT pie chart is usually just a circle. Okay, so IT is this weird industry that you can just always work. If you've got some skills or if you've got some knowledge and you can pass an interview, people need you always. So it was this great thing, but at the same time, it's not what I wanted to be doing. What I wanted to be doing, what I trained to do, was to be an actor and be a creator and do stuff like that. So my wife got pregnant back in 2010, and we went to the ultrasound tech, as you do, and they were like, all right, well, we can see the baby. We can see both of the babies. And I was like, ha, this is what you do for the new parents. Very good. I like it. She's like, oh, they didn't tell you that you have twins? It's like, no. Oh, yeah, you've got twins. Here, let me show you. And I don't remember anything else because my brain just turned off at that point. So our first child was two children, two boys, two identical twin boys. And that was 2010. And when they came along, it was the greatest thing that had ever happened in my life for so many reasons. The reason I'll tell you now is because it was a major wake-up call. I realized that now my time was more scarce than it had ever been in my life. And if I was ever going to do anything with acting or performance or creation or any of the stuff I really thought I wanted to do, the clock was ticking in a way it had never been ticking before. And so, you know, fortunately I had some contacts here in Dallas. I've done a lot of acting here. I just started kind of sending out emails to people I remembered, old directors, old theater friends, you know, like, hey, I want to do whatever I can. I want to do community theater. I want to start auditioning for stuff. You know, how do I do that? I want to get plugged back in. So it was, let's see, it was April, I think. Maybe April of 2011 that I sent an email. He's not hiding too much here. By the way, have any of you guys seen this car at conventions before? This dude drives around to different conventions in the area and lets you take pictures with his car. It's a really cool car. If you ever find it, it's pretty sweet. But yeah, so I sent an email, and I don't think you can do this anymore, sadly, but I sent an email out basically to, what was it, auditions at Funimation.com, I think. And because that's what a dude had told me to do. He's like, just send your resume and send some examples, you know, recent examples of your work. So that's what I did. And within 5 months, I had an email, 4 or 5 months, I had an email back. And they're like, we'd like for you to come in and audition. I'd never been to Funimation. I had never really been inside of an ADR studio before, besides the one that I had worked with at UNT. And so I walked in. The director's kind of explaining things to me. You're going to walk into this room. There's going to be these 2 screens. One of them's got the show. The other one's got the script. You're going to put on the headphones. You're going to hear 3 beeps, beep, beep, beep. In the place where the 4th beep would be, that's where you're going to say the line that's highlighted on the screen. So look up on the screen. It's a show called One Piece. Okay. I didn't know that one, so I'm like, okay, One Piece. And the character is male soldier 9A, 93A, or whatever. Okay. He's like, this scene is you run into the room, you're trying to stop this dude named Luffy. And you run into the room, and you've got your gun, and you're going to say, oh no, it's Luffy. And then he's going to punch you out of the room. And that's it. Like, oh, okay, cool. So, beep, beep, beep. Run into the room. This is the preview, so you watch it happen first. Cool, got it. Got the timing of it. Understand. Right after my line, there's like a CM. And I'm like, what? What is that? Here's another tip for you. If you ever go to a job that you've gotten and you don't know everything about the job, ask questions. Don't just assume you know how to do it, because you're probably going to look stupid and do something you shouldn't do, like I'm about to do right now. It says CM at the end of it, and I'm like, okay, it must be part of a line. Beep, beep, beep. Oh no, it's Pirate Luffy. Come. Yeah. So that wasn't what I was supposed to do there. When you see a CM reaction, it means a closed mouth reaction. It means that the character in the screen has a closed mouth while they're making some kind of sound. They're making some kind of reaction sound. In this case, it was the sound of getting punched. So what I should have done is, oh no, it's Pirate Luffy. That's a closed mouth reaction to getting punched. The director and the engineer just absolutely cracked up. They just lost it. Unfortunately, the director was a guy who was, he was also an actor. He came from the stage. He was a theater actor as well. I think he took mercy on me because he understood that I had not seen that before in a script, and he had me back again. Thank goodness. But that was pretty embarrassing. Pretty embarrassing start to my career. Let's see, 2013, I got my first lead role. That was in a show called Laughing Under the Clouds. And from there, I just got more and more auditions. I got more and more opportunities. I got my first commercial agent here, talent agent here in Dallas. And I started getting auditions for commercials. And I started doing dog food commercials. And I started doing, I'm the voice of Carl's Jr. right now. So if you hear any Carl's Jr. commercials, that's me. And all this stuff kind of started, I do a lot of stuff with Samsung also. And all this stuff kind of started coming in, and it was like, wow, this is what I wanted to be doing. I wasn't sure exactly what it was, right? I just knew that I was interested in these things, and I kept trying to move in that direction. And that was the whole thing. So the joke that we have at our house is that, yes, we can tell our kids apart, Benjamin and Colin. We can tell them apart, but there was like a month-long period of time when they were first born back in 2010 that we did not have a way to tell them apart. And so we joke that we probably mixed them up like at least 4 or 5 times during that month. So we don't actually know if the one that we named Benjamin turned out to be Benjamin. We have no idea. After that first month, my wife was like, I saw something online on a blog where moms will actually paint the toenail of the twin a different color from the other twin so that you can tell them apart. I'm like, oh, we should have done that like a month ago. We don't know who these kids are anymore. But if I had to guess, I can usually tell just based on their eyes. So if I had to guess, I would say this one is Benjamin and this one is Colin. These are the guys really that changed my life more than anything, because it wasn't really before they came into the world that I understood, like, our time here is short. And what I'd been doing before is just like the easy thing. The easy thing was, for me anyway, go solve computer problems and get paid a decent amount of money for that and just kind of do that. that was not what I wanted to do, and I was super unhappy. But it wasn't until they came along that I was like, right, okay, I'm not going to teach them that what you should do is just the easy thing that sucks, that you don't, that I didn't like. Like, I'm just going to take some risks here, and I'm going to be smart about it, but I'm going to see if I can make this work as a full-time thing. And so I really started hitting it hard because of that. And I did basically 2 careers at the same time. For basically from 2011 to 2019, when I quit my day job for a large Fortune 500 IT company, I was working 2 jobs at the same time. So every single week I was doing, 50-hour weeks, 60-hour weeks, whatever I could. Any opportunity I had to voice act, I would do it. If it was 9 o'clock at night, I would do it. I would find ways to do it. Thank you. I got to a point in my day job career where I became a manager and I had people underneath me. And I said, I'm available to you at all times. Here's my number. If issues come up, please let me know. I am not going to be available during these times, during the day. But I am available at night. So if there's like support issues that come up at night, I'll be the one that handles that stuff. But during the day, there's going to be times when I'm not going to be available. And those are the times when my agent would be like, you got a gig. And I'm like, all right, well, I'll see you guys later. I got to go take care of some stuff. Scamper down to my car, drive to wherever the studio was, do that for an hour or 2, drive all the way back to, work and hope that nobody figured out what was going on, because I was trying to do 2 careers at the same time. March of 2019, I quit my day job and never went back. It's been full-time voice acting ever since. Big part of that has been the popularity of My Hero Academia. My Hero Academia has made it so that I can actually go to these things with you guys and get to travel around the whole country doing this stuff. And then 2020 happened. We won't talk about 2020. The darkest year of our lives. 2021 is really looking up, and the fandom around My Hero Academia, while sometimes incredibly toxic, is for the most part full of a lot of love, and it's been such an amazing thing to be a part of the show, and get a chance to come to rooms like this and talk to folks just like you. So Aizawa's, I think, supposed to be me. I'm supposed to be Aizawa here in the middle. But I sort of want to redo this. I want to put like another Aizawa in the back or something. Because I think, yeah. Up here? Oh, that's Hawks. Yeah, that's Hawks up there. No. He's going so fast that it looks like a blur, because he's just really fast. Oh, that would be great. That would be very great. We don't have a whole lot of time, so this is good. This has been my first time. I realize next time I need to go even faster than that. We got about 8 minutes left, and I want to just open it up to you guys for anybody who has questions, comments, anything at all that you want to talk. It doesn't have to be My Hero. It doesn't have to be me. It doesn't have to be. It could be whatever. Yes. Yeah, an iconic line. Do you have a line in mind, or just anything? Okay.
My favorite thing about working at Pizza Hut was that they paid me to basically drive around, listen to audiobooks or music, talk to myself and do voices, and make people happy by bringing them hot pies.
And that's the truth. I've never made people happy like I did when I worked at Pizza Hut. That is the greatest job. It's like you're Santa Claus every day, as long as you're on time. As long as you're on time. Yes. Yeah. I think that's a great idea. I love Amber. She's amazing, and I'd love to do that. It's a great idea. This is true. This is true. Okay, go for it. Yeah, go for it. She's on Twitter. Yeah. That's a great question. His question was, what's the thing in the voice reel that got me the first audition? So it wasn't my voice reel, in my case, that got me the first audition. It was the fact that I had already done a lot of theater work around town, and I had those connections around town, and then those connections led to a connection to a director at Funimation. So it would probably be disingenuous of me to say, you know, in that case. But what I will say is, since then, my voice reel has booked me work in a game called Borderlands 3. And so what I did with that, and this is what I recommend for anybody who's doing a reel, is first really do a lot of groundwork on figuring out where your voice solves a problem for somebody. That's a hard thing to do because there's so many voices out there. Thank you. But there is something special and unique about your voice. And so figuring that out, the thing that's special and unique about my voice is that
I'm Batman.
I grew up idolizing Batman the Animated Series. I spent a lot of time listening to all that, and I've got a texture and I've got a darkness to my voice that really lends it when you pair that with a performance of either an older brother or an anti-hero or a villain. I can solve that problem for you, right? If you've got a story, if you've got a narrative that involves those things, I can 100% solve that for you, and I can add nuance to that in a way that I feel really confident about. So my voice reel has those things right up front. And when you figure out what your thing is that makes your voice special, that you do well, and you can solve that problem well, put it right at the front. Don't make people wait to get to it. It needs to be the first thing. Keep your reel about a minute long. And by the end of that reel, I want to hear a thing at the end that really shows me your range. So like right now, if I was going to remake my reel, I would put Hades from Sleepy Princess and the Demon Castle all the way at the end. Because Hades is like, well, princess, you and I are going to get up to a lot of shenanigans. And it's like not anything like what I would mostly get booked for. So I want that at the very end, right? Because I want them to go through and be like, oh, cool, 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 cool. What? Like, that's interesting. Okay. That's my 2 cents. Yes. Yes. Yeah. I just did this. Where did I do this? I did this on, where was this show? Rhode Island, maybe? I don't know. But I'm on TikTok. Follow me on TikTok, Real Chris Wehkamp, if you're into that. I love TikTok so much. I spend way too much time on TikTok. Anyway.
Oh no, my mental health. It's broken.
Sad but true. Sad but true. Yeah, in the back. Sure.
Welcome. Would you like to put this on the red card and save 5% right now? Oh, you actually do? Oh, God. I don't actually know how to do the application. No one ever says yes to this. They just make me ask. I have to ask every person. Even the people who have a red card, I still have to ask them too. But okay, let me see if I can figure out how to do this. No, I don't know how. I don't know. You can't have a red card. I'm sorry. Maybe next time, next visit.
Right in the front. You had one?
Would you ever cosplay Aizawa in a panel?
Yeah, so would I ever cosplay Izawa in a panel? I saw something online like a couple months ago, and it caught my eye. I was like, wow, this is like the easiest possible way to cosplay Izawa. And so I bought it. Because again, I'm not crafty in this way. So I brought it with me this weekend, and I may unveil it tomorrow. Yeah. I don't want to set the expectations too high. It's literally the easiest possible way to cosplay as Aizawa. So, no. See, the sleeping bag idea is a good idea, but it's so hot and uncomfortable. That's not easy to me at all. Like, the people who suffer for that cosplay are really, really suffering. Yes. Yeah. 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 Sure. You ready?
You kind of smell like a baka. Eren Yeager.
What has TikTok done to us? Like, this can't be healthy. This can't be healthy. Oh my gosh. You know what? My current fascination on TikTok is the Skyrim NPC conversations. Have you guys seen these? They're just a dude walking around the grocery store and then he's like, have you heard any rumors? I'm looking for work. Or he walked up to somebody, the one I saw the other day, and he's like, I think some of these have been poisoned. I saw a shady character hanging around them. And then the best is when it's, elderly folks, and I don't want to be ageist, but the elderly folks definitely seem to have more time on their hands because they're willing to just be like, poisoned? You mean these pencils over here? Well, how'd they poison the pencils? That doesn't make any sense at all. And you sort of love them for it. Okay, we're out of time. Thank you guys so much. Have a great weekend.